I think there's a difference, and Morris, I like Morris and Trammell too, but I do think there's a difference between getting elected with the executive council. There are 16. You got to get 12 votes. Jack got whatever it may have been, and Trammell got 13. I think Jack got 15. Maybe it was 14, but he got obviously more than the 12. I think there's a little difference between that. I would rather get voted in by the writers. You got 10, 15 years in Trammell and Jack's case. They both had 15 years. That is, to me, more of an accomplishment that in that 75% of baseball writers voted you in the Hall of Fame. More so than 12 out of 16 of people who are in baseball in a variety of levels. So I don't look at those two as quite the same as I look at the others, and it wouldn't be just those two. I think anybody who gets in the Hall of Fame via a special committee, and that includes Phil Rizzuto, I think, and Ron Santo and everything else, I think in that scenario, I do think that it is not quite as, and it doesn't mean as much to me as it would say, somebody who got voted in by the writers. It just wouldn't, it doesn't mean quite as much to me. And I think the argument you can make about the Hall of Fame, the better argument that we can make, and Mike should have made it instead of worrying about they didn't break any rules, is this. Well, if Bud Selig is in the Hall of Fame, why can't Bonds and Clemens be in the Hall of Fame? If Selig is in, how come the steroid guys can't be in? He was the commissioner. It was during his era. You want to tell me he didn't know? I'll buy that. Nobody really stepped forward and did anything, but it was under his watch. And if we are so aghast about players using steroids and we're going to keep them, and they would normally be in the Hall of Fame in the first ballot, we're going to keep them out of the Hall of Fame, well, then shouldn't we keep the curator of the sport out of the Hall of Fame as well? And Bud got, he wasn't voted by the writers. None of these guys are. Bud's on that special committee. Yeah, he gets voted by the committees. He's not a player. It's different. But Bud got 15 votes out of the 16 a year or so ago and got in the Hall of Fame. And he was the commissioner during a strike, and he was also a commissioner during steroids. That's asking a lot to put him in the Hall of Fame with those two things. I got to be honest. Those are two tremendous black guys. And I'm Selig, I'm a big Selig fan. But you got to be fair. Here's Jimmy and Jimmy Jam in Albany, New York. Jim, good afternoon. How are you today, pal?
Doggy, thanks for taking my call. You actually literally just took the words out of my mouth. Selig being in the Hall is a huge it's just hypocritical to the MLB. So if you're not going to allow these guys,
well, it doesn't have anything to do with MLB. It has something to do with the committees. I mean, it wasn't like MLB put him in the Hall of Fame. A committee that is set up to examine players who may have been bypassed and examines, contributors to the game. They're the ones who voted Selig in. So it's not like baseball put him in. He got voted in. But go ahead. Let me hear.
Right. I understand the process. Trip up on words. Excuse me, but you hit the nail on the head with that. And then I'm also sitting here thinking, well, Ty Cobb, Chris Speaker, they got implicated for fixing games. The Hall itself is not full of clean angels. So why are certain people in the Hall? There's a lot of people back in the day who are considered heavy racists. It's a dirty Hall to begin with. So why are we stopping at this when there's other people in there? Tell me that.
Well, first off, Cobb and Speaker, whether they bet on a team or threw a game, there's no documented evidence that states that they did. There's always hearsay. Everybody seems to think there might be a little something to it. Who knows? You're right. There are plenty of terrible people in that Hall of Fame long before 1947 who were racists and all those things. Again, that gets to let's take down memorials, for Robert E. Lee and all those kinds. You're going down that path if you take them out. What they did on the baseball field from a performance standpoint puts them in the Hall of Fame. I mean, they're not angels. I mean, it's the time period. If you start doing that, well, then you're going to have, very few Hall of Famers in there prior to 1947. Why stop at, the avowed racists, put everybody out of the Hall of Fame who played in there only against whites because they did nothing to help black players play baseball? And that includes Garrick, people like that. So I don't know where you stop. There's no ending in that scenario. So I'm not going to go there because that's an endless argument. And you can't take monuments, everybody that you want to take monuments down from because you didn't like their racial policies in 1883. I mean, I understand, and it's easy to do that now, but I don't know if it's a very tricky topic, and you open up a Pandora's box if you do it. Now, as far as the Cobb and Speaker betting on the games, there has always been speculation that after 1919, Landis, the commissioner, Keenshaw Mountain Landis, did not want to give baseball more gambling woes. This is after the 1919 Black Sox scandal, where they threw the World Series, the White Sox, and all those guys got thrown out of baseball, despite being acquitted in a court of law. That, he did not want to let baseball suffer anymore with a couple of their heroes, thrown out of the sport for gambling. So maybe he gave them a pass. That's the theory. Who knows? It's 100 years ago. Who knows? Here's Rocco in San Francisco. He's on Mad Dog Unleashed. Rocco, good afternoon. How are you today? Are you there? Yes, Rocco, take it away. Nice to have you with us here today.
Yeah, Chris, I'm right here. I'm here, Chris. Hey, listen, I want to follow up on your comments about Bonds. Why not just come out and say it? Why not just shoot the steroids from the dugout then, from the clubhouse? Why the shadows? If it's perfectly okay,
good point,
and it's no big deal,
right?
Then why did your trainer go to jail for three times? Why did your trainer go to jail? Covering up what? If it's perfectly okay, why not just do it in the dugout? Do it out in left field if it's not that big of a deal.
Well, half of them did it like that. But your point is well taken. They were masking something. That's 100%. Yes, go ahead.
Well, here's another thing on Bonds here too, and I hope Bonds never makes the Hall of Fame. But to be honest with you, Chris, I think, and I've stated this many times on blogs and on this and on that, I think that if Bonds had not broken Aaron's record and the other record, the home run season record, I think he'd be in the Hall of Fame. I think people aren't upset that Bonds did steroids. A lot of guys did that. They're upset that Bonds smashed illegally baseball's hallowed records. And I think if Bonds had
well, how about Clemens?
710 or 705, or if he stopped,
but that doesn't answer Sosa and Clemens. They didn't break any records.
No, I'm with you. I'm with you. But I think Bonds might be in today had he not broken those records.
I don't think so. It does stick out like a sore thumb, but a lot of the great steroid players, McGuire and Sosa and Palmeiro and all these guys, they didn't do the sort of things Bonds did, and they're not going to the Hall of Fame either. So I don't know if I agree with that. 19 in front of the hour. We will continue here on Mad Dog Unleashed.